Today, we are diving into the incredibly complex and, as it turns out, super common world of office romance. Look, this is a reality that can lead to lifelong partnerships or, well, career-ending scandals. So where do we draw the line between all of that? Let's get into it.
Let's just start with a single, really powerful number, 52%. Now, I want you to think about your own workplace for a second. This number suggests that more than half of the people you work with have been in a romantic relationship with a colleague.
I mean, the sheer scale of this is what's so wild. And office romance isn't some rare scandalous exception. It's a fundamental part of modern work life. And it kind of makes sense, right? We spend a huge chunk of our lives at work. It's where people have casual flings, build serious relationships, and yeah, in some pretty famous cases, like Barack and Michelle Obama, it's where they even meet their future spouse.
But, and this is a big but, when these relationships involve a power imbalance, the stakes get incredibly high. The fallout can absolutely be career-ending. And what's really crucial to understand in these high-profile scandals is that the firing offense often isn't the relationship itself, it's the failure to disclose it. That's what violates company policy and shatters trust.
So, this brings us to a really important legal question. Let's say a boss favors their romantic partner. Gives them better assignments, a promotion, other perks. Is that actually illegal? The answer? Well, it's not nearly as straightforward as you might think.
All right, let's get our terms straight. The legal phrase for this is sexual favoritism. Sometimes you'll hear it called paramour preference, and it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's giving preferential treatment to an employee specifically because they're in a consensual relationship with a supervisor.
So the big question, is it illegal? Here's the kicker. The surprising answer is generally no. On its own, favoring a romantic partner is not considered illegal sex discrimination under federal law. See, courts and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission have consistently said that isolated instances of this stuff don't violate Title VII of the Civil Rights Act.
Okay, so here's the legal logic, which is fascinating. The law basically draws a line between what's unfair and what's illegal. The thinking goes like this. This kind of favoritism disadvantages everybody who isn't the romantic partner, no matter their gender. Men and women are both equally overlooked. So while it feels incredibly unfair, it's not technically discrimination because of sex. It's treated more like nepotism. Unfair? You bet. Illegal? Generally? No.
But hold on, that is not the end of the story, not by a long shot. There are two really important exceptions where this kind of behavior crosses a bright red line, going from just unfair to flat-out illegal.
The first one you've probably heard of, quid pro quo harassment. It's Latin for this for that. This is where a so-called consensual relationship isn't really consensual at all. It's built on coercion, or an employee's job or their promotion or some other benefit is tied to them submitting to sexual advances.
The second exception is when the favoritism is so rampant, so widespread, that it creates a hostile work environment. Now, this isn't about one isolated couple. This is about a whole workplace culture where it becomes obvious that the way to get ahead is through sexual relationships with the people in charge. It sends this demeaning message that your professional worth just doesn't matter as much as your sexual availability. And the landmark case, Broderick versus Reuter, is a perfect and pretty powerful example of this. You had a staff attorney who saw supervisors having relationships with their subordinates who were then just showered with promotions and rewards. The court ruled that this went way beyond simple favoritism. It created a hostile environment that basically poisoned the entire workplace, sending a crystal clear message that sexual conduct was the real key to getting ahead.
Okay, so we've established the legal boundaries, right? An isolated affair with a bit of favoritism might be legal. A widespread pattern of it is not. But, just because something is technically legal, that doesn't automatically make it right.
And this pushes us into a much more complex conversation, one that moves way beyond legal rules and into the world of ethics. I mean, what does it actually mean to create a workplace that isn't just compliant, but is also genuinely fair and respectful to everyone?
We can look at this whole thing through a couple of classic ethical lenses. You've got utilitarianism, which asks about the consequences. Does this action create the greatest good for the greatest number of people? Then you've got Kantian ethics, which asks about the action itself. Does it treat people with dignity and respect as people, not as tools?
And you know what? Under both of these frameworks, sexual favoritism fails the test big time. From a utilitarian view, it creates jealousy. It just destroys team morale. It tanks productivity. It's the exact opposite of the greatest good.
And from a Kantian perspective, it's even worse. It treats other employees as just obstacles and even treats the favored partner as a means to an end, completely disrespecting their professional worth.
Okay, so if office romance is a reality, and we know favoritism is legally risky and ethically a total minefield, how should a modern company actually handle this? What is the playbook for protecting your employees and the business itself?
Well, the first step has to be a clear policy. But this data shows a really startling level of confusion. A full 20% of companies have no policy at all, and an astounding 35% of employees are completely unsure what the rules even are at their company. That ambiguity, that is a breeding ground for serious problems. So a proactive 3-step playbook is really the best defense. Step 1, create a clear policy, especially one that flat out prohibits relationships between direct supervisors and the people who report to them. Step 2, require disclosure. This isn't about policing people's love lives. It's about managing conflicts of interest before they blow up. And Step 3, consider using love contracts. These are basically formal documents that confirm a relationship is consensual and set clear expectations for how to behave professionally.
Because ultimately, the responsibility here really does fall on the employer. They have a duty to maintain a professional environment and to protect all of their employees, especially when a relationship goes south and starts to disrupt the entire workplace. So we are left with this fundamental challenge. We know people will form connections at work. That's just human nature. The goal can't be to legislate love, but to build a culture of transparency and respect. The real test of a healthy workplace is whether it can embrace our humanity without ever sacrificing fairness for the entire team. And finding that balance, well, that isn't just a policy decision, it's a cultural one.